You said something at the meeting. Silence. No one laughed. No one agreed. Just a glance. Then they moved on to the next topic. On your way home, that moment keeps replaying in your mind. Did I not say it well enough? Did I look stupid? Maybe I should have said something smarter. That feeling follows you all the way home. You lie down in bed, but that moment is still there. I'm not good enough. How many times have you repeated that sentence? Maybe today, maybe yesterday, maybe every day. That sentence wakes up with you, goes to work with you, comes home with you, and you don't even realize it, but that voice gets a little stronger every day. It echoes again with every failure, every criticism, every silence, and you start to believe that voice is right. That voice now feels like part of your identity. You hear it when you look in the mirror in the morning, you feel it when you send an email, you carry it with you when you walk into a meeting, and worst of all, you've gotten used to it. You don't even question it anymore. Chapter 1. This feeling isn't just a moment. It's a cycle. Every morning you wake up and there's something you have to prove. At work, at home, on social media, everywhere. I have to be better. I have to work harder. I have to show more. But no matter how much you show, it's never enough. You get a promotion. Are you happy? No. Because now you're thinking about the next step. You achieve something. Are you relieved? No. Because now you have to protect it. Someone compliments you. Does that ease your mind? No. Because you're afraid of disappointing them next time. This cycle consumes you, and without realizing it, your life becomes a performance. Not the real you, but the you that appears good enough in the eyes of others. So where does this cycle come from? Your childhood? A teacher's words? A parent's gaze? Maybe. But the real problem is this. That voice has started to become your own. When you say, I'm not good enough, whose voice are you speaking with? Your bosses, an old friends, or someone who criticized you years ago? That voice now sounds like it's yours, but it's not. It never was yours. You just repeated it. You repeated it so much that you believed it was true, and now you wake up every morning with that voice. You go to bed with that voice every night. It's there in every decision you make, every step you take, every breath you breathe. Work harder, be better, show more. But when will it be enough? The answer is simple, never. Because you didn't set the rules of this game. Others did, and you keep playing by those rules. Every day you get a little more tired. Every day you become a little more drained. And one day you look in the mirror and don't recognize yourself. Because that person isn't you. That person is a mask created from others' expectations. And you've lost yourself behind that mask. Chapter 2, 1604. Miyamoto Musashi is 20 years old. Young, talented, but also restless. He is dueling with Japan's best swordsman at the time, one after another. He wins, but something is missing. There is no satisfaction after each duel, only the next duel. One more. I have to prove myself one more time. But what? To whom? Musashi doesn't ask himself these questions. He just wins. Because winning means respect. Winning means being the best. Winning means a place where no one questions you. But with every victory comes a new enemy. And Musashi has to prove himself again. 10 years pass. He reaches his 30s. And one day, he stops. He retreats to the mountains. He doesn't talk to anyone. He doesn't duel, only silence. During that time, he realizes something. All these duels weren't to prove himself. They were to know himself. And until that moment, he had never known himself. Because while trying to be the best in the eyes of others, he had forgotten who he was in his own eyes. That day, Musashi made a decision. He would no longer prove anything to anyone. From then on, he would seek the answer to one question. Who am I? This question seemed simple, but for Musashi, it was revolutionary. Because he had never asked it before. He had always answered other people's questions. Am I strong enough? Am I fast enough? Am I respectable enough? But now he was asking a different question. What do I want? What do I believe in? Who am I? And this question changed everything. During those months in the mountains, Musashi didn't just practice with his sword. He listened to himself. For the first time, he tried to hear his own voice in the silence, and that voice told him, "You are already enough. You have always been enough. You were just asking the wrong questions." When Musashi came down from the mountains, he had changed. He no longer fought duels, but people found him stronger than ever, because he no longer had anything to prove. He was simply himself. Chapter 3. In Japanese, this is called Jiko-ninshiki, self-knowledge, but it is much deeper than the phrase know thyself we use in the modern world. Jiko-ninshiki asks this question: whose standards are you measuring your worth by? Someone else's or your own? There's another concept in Musashi's teaching, Shoshin, the beginner's mind. Shoshin says, you start anew every moment. Your past successes do not define you. You are not a prisoner of your past mistakes. When these two concepts come together, a door to freedom opens. Because if you start anew every moment and your value is not dependent on others' approval, then there is nothing you constantly need to prove. You just need to be yourself. But in the modern world, this seems almost impossible, doesn't it? Because today, everything is measured, everything is compared, everything is scored, and you constantly find yourself in a ranking, a race, a competition. There was competition in Musashi's time too. There were duels. But the difference was this. At some point, Musashi stepped outside that competition because he understood that the real enemy is not outside, but inside. The real duel is not with a sword, but with the mind. And the only way to win that duel was to abandon the standards of others and find his own standards. Jiko-ninshiki is not just a concept, it is a way of life. Asking yourself every day, who do I want to be today? What do I value today? How do I want to live today? And answering these questions without mixing in the expectations of others. Shoshin reminds you, it doesn't matter who you were yesterday. Who do you want to be today? Every day is a new beginning. Every moment is a new opportunity. The past does not define you. The future does not limit you. Only the present exists. Chapter 4. The Modern World Connection. Because today everything is measured. How many projects have you completed? How many likes did you get? What position are you in? How much do you earn? And every measurement brings comparison. He got promoted faster than me. His presentation was better. He's gaining more followers. This comparison puts you in a race, and you can never win that race because there's always a step above. There's always someone better, and you feel inadequate until you reach that step. But here's the truth. You won't be satisfied when you get there either, because then you'll see the next step. This cycle leads to exhaustion, anxiety, and inner emptiness. So what's the solution? Stop, like Musashi did, and ask yourself, who am I trying to prove myself to? And what am I trying to prove? If the answer is others, you're answering the wrong question. Because other people's standards are infinite. There's always a new expectation, a new benchmark, a new goal. And while you're trying to reach those goals, you forget your own goals. Look at social media. Every day, hundreds of people showcase their perfect lives. Every photo, every video, every post sends a message. I am successful. Are you good enough? And every time you see that message, you shrink a little more. You feel a little more inadequate. You tell yourself, I need to do more. But the truth is, those people are in the same cycle. They're trying to prove themselves too. They don't feel good enough either. They just hide it better. It's the same at work. You relax when your boss praises you. But as soon as that praise ends, you start worrying again. Will they praise me next time? What if I disappoint them? And so you focus on the next project, the next presentation, the next success. But none of it satisfies you. Because the real problem isn't outside, it's inside. You keep looking for your value outside yourself. But that value was never outside. It was always inside. You just forgot to look. The mirror exercise. Seeing beyond the mask. There's a moment that happens to almost everyone, usually late at night or early in the morning. You're standing in front of the mirror, and for just a second, you see a stranger looking back at you. Not your face, but something behind it. A tiredness, a disconnection, a question. When did I become this person? This isn't depression. This isn't a breakdown. This is clarity trying to break through. That stranger in the mirror is actually you, the real you, trying to be seen beneath all the layers of performance, beneath the professional smile, the confident posture, the carefully curated responses, beneath everything you've learned to be for others. Musashi experienced this moment in the mountains. Sarah experienced it the evening her boss pointed out her tension. Marcus experienced it when he couldn't answer a simple question about happiness. And you will experience it too, if you haven't already. The question is, what will you do when that moment comes? Most people look away, they get busy, they check their phone, make coffee, start the day's tasks. Because that moment is uncomfortable. That stranger in the mirror is asking questions you've been avoiding for years. Questions like, is this what I actually want? Am I living my life or performing someone else's script? If no one was watching, who would I be? These questions feel dangerous, because answering them honestly might mean admitting that you've been running in the wrong direction, that the ladder you've been climbing is leaning against the wrong wall, that the approval you've been seeking doesn't actually fulfill you. But here's what Musashi learned in his silence. These questions aren't dangerous. They're liberating. When you finally stop running from them, when you sit with that stranger in the mirror and really look, something shifts. The mask starts to crack, not in a breaking way, but in a letting light in way. You begin to notice the gap between who you are and who you've been pretending to be. And that gap? That's where your real work begins. This is what Jiko-ninshiki really means. Not just knowing yourself in some abstract philosophical sense, but recognizing the specific ways you've abandoned yourself, the moments you said yes when you meant no, the times you laughed at jokes that weren't funny, the hours you spent perfecting work that didn't need perfection just to avoid someone's potential criticism. Every time you performed instead of existed, you left a small piece of yourself behind. And over years, those pieces add up, until one day you're standing in front of a mirror, looking at a carefully constructed stranger, wondering where you went. But the truth Musashi discovered, the truth Sarah and Marcus discovered, is this: you never actually left. You've been there the whole time, underneath everything, waiting to be remembered. The stranger in the mirror isn't someone new you need to become. It's someone old you need to return to. The version of you that existed before you learned to measure your worth by others' standards. Before you started performing, before the cycle began, that person is still there. Quiet, patient, unchanged by all the achievements and failures you've accumulated. And that person has only one question: are you ready to come home? This is why the work of self-knowledge feels both difficult and natural. Difficult because you're fighting against years of conditioning. Natural because you're not becoming someone new. You're remembering someone you've always been. So the next time you see that stranger in the mirror, don't look away. Stay. Look closer. Ask those uncomfortable questions. Listen for the answers that come from deep inside, not from the voice that's been performing for others. Because that moment of recognition, that flash of, I don't know who this person is anymore, that's not the problem. That's the beginning of the solution. Chapter 5, Strategy and Tactics. Now let's move on to concrete steps. 3 simple but profound techniques. First technique, define your own standards. Take a piece of paper. Write this. What does success mean to me? A promotion? Money? Approval? No. Dig deeper. What does having a good day mean to me? What do I need to do to feel valued? Your answer should be independent of others' expectations. For example, I had a deep conversation today. That's enough for me. I learned something today. That's success for me. Set your own criteria. Don't use theirs. This isn't easy, because you've lived by other people's standards for years. But without this step, you can't break the cycle. Every morning when you wake up, ask yourself, what's important to me today? Not what your boss thinks. Not what your friends expect. What you value. Asking this question every day may feel strange at first, but over time it becomes a habit, and that habit changes your life. Technique number 2, filter external feedback. When someone criticizes you, pause. Ask yourself, is this criticism aligned with my values? If not, make a note of it and let it go. If it is, learn from it and move on. But don't perceive every piece of feedback as a personal attack, because most of the time, people are projecting their own standards onto you. Your standards are different. For example, if your boss tells you to be more aggressive, but you value being a calm person, you don't have to accept that criticism. Learn, evaluate, but don't blindly apply. Because other people's words are not your truth. They are only their perspective. Not all feedback is a gift. Some is just other people projecting their own world onto you, and you don't have to accept that projection. Third technique, reframe the concept of enough. There is no such thing as enough, because enough is a relative concept, but you don't have to be perfect either. Instead, ask yourself, Did I do my best today? If the answer is yes, then you are enough for that day. Tomorrow, you will ask the same question again. And every day, you will focus only on that day. This is Musashi's Shoshin, starting anew every day. Not with the burden of the past, but with the clarity of the present. If you made a mistake yesterday, today is a new day. If you were successful yesterday, today is a new beginning. Nothing defines you. Only this moment exists. And this moment is enough. Chapter 6. Sarah and Marcus's story. Sarah, a project manager at a marketing agency in Chicago. She's been in the same position for 3 years. After every project, she waits for her boss's approval. She tries to be perfect in every presentation. But one day, her boss calls her in. He says, "Sarah, you're doing a good job, but you always seem tense. It's like you're constantly trying to prove something." Sarah is shocked because it's true. That evening, she goes home. She takes a deep breath and asks herself, who am I trying to prove myself to? What am I trying to prove? The answer isn't clear. She asks herself this question every evening for a week, and she realizes she doesn't have to prove anything to anyone. She does her job well. Her team likes her. Her projects are successful, but she was always waiting for the next approval. A month later, her boss calls her in again. This time he says, "Sarah, you're different this month. You're calmer. You're clearer. What changed?" Sarah smiles. "I'm not proving anything to anyone anymore. I'm just being myself." 6 months later, she gets promoted. But this time, she didn't work for the promotion. She just did a good job according to her own standards. Now another story. Marcus, a software developer at a tech company in San Francisco, 32 years old, at the peak of his career. But something is missing inside. Marcus's problem is different from Sarah's. Sarah was constantly seeking approval. Marcus was constantly seeking the next big thing. He wasn't satisfied when each project ended. This isn't enough. I need to do something bigger. I need to write more important code. I need to make a bigger impact. One day, at a team meeting, a young engineer suggests a simple feature. Marcus thinks to himself, "This is too small. It's not worth spending time on." But the feature is implemented, and users love it. Thousands of positive reviews come in. Marcus was surprised. How could something so simple have such an impact? He thought about it on his way home that evening. Maybe the problem wasn't size. Maybe the problem was his constant search for bigger, better, more important. Over the weekend, he had coffee with an old friend. His friend asked him, "Marcus, are you happy?" Marcus paused. He can't answer, because he hasn't thought about whether he's happy. He's only thought about being successful. "I'm successful," he says. "But am I happy? I don't know." His friend smiles. Maybe happiness isn't in big successes. Maybe it's in small moments. Maybe you're missing those moments because you're always waiting for the next big thing. Marcus goes home. He thinks. And he makes a decision. He goes to work on Monday morning. But this time, it's different. At the team meeting, he suggests a small feature. Something simple but useful. He couldn't have suggested something like this before, because it wasn't big enough. But now, he doesn't care. The feature is implemented. The users love it again. And Marcus feels a genuine sense of satisfaction for the first time, because he's no longer chasing bigness. He's chasing meaning. 3 months later, his boss calls him in. "Marcus, you've been bringing a different energy to the team lately. You're more collaborative. You're calmer. What changed?" Marcus thinks. Not everything has to be big anymore. Sometimes small things are more meaningful. The boss nods. That mindset makes you much more valuable, because now you're impact-driven instead of ego-driven. 6 months later, Marcus receives a promotion offer. Lead developer position. But this time, he thinks before accepting. Will this make me happy? Or is it just a bigger position? The answer is clear. He accepts. But this time, not to prove himself, because he truly wants it. Marcus's story approaches things from a different angle. Sarah was constantly trying to prove herself. Marcus, on the other hand, was constantly striving to be bigger. They both fell into the same trap. They were living according to an external standard. Sarah was seeking the approval of others. Marcus was chasing the standard of greatness. But in the end, they both learned the same thing. The real value is inside, in their own standards, in their own meaning. And when they found that meaning, the whole world changed. Chapter 7. Musashi says one more thing. True victory is not defeating your enemy. It is defeating yourself. And today, the enemy you need to defeat is that voice saying, "I'm not good enough." That voice is not yours. It is the echo of other people's standards. But you can silence that voice. How? By listening to your own voice, by setting your own standards, and by focusing only on that day, every day, because you are already enough. You are not lacking. You are not inadequate. You are just looking at the wrong measure, within the right measure, in your own values, in your own awareness. When Musashi came down from the mountains, he no longer had anything to prove to anyone. But that day, he encountered his strongest self, his own self. And when he accepted that self, the whole world changed. The same world, the same people, the same challenges. But those challenges no longer defined him, because he had defined himself. You can do it too. If not today, then tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then the day after. But one day, you will hear that voice, your own voice. And that voice will say, "I am here," and that is enough. This journey is not easy. You are tearing down a structure you have built over years. You are changing a story you have believed in for years. And that takes time. But every step frees you. Every step brings you closer to your true self. As Musashi said, "The road is long, but there is no other road." Chapter 8. Now it's your turn. Stop once this week and ask yourself, who am I trying to prove something to? What am I trying to prove? If the answer is others, then change the question. What did I do for myself today? Maybe you took a deep breath. Maybe you learned something. Maybe you just were yourself. That moment is enough. The next time you say, "I'm not good enough," stop. That voice isn't yours. Your voice is deeper, calmer, and it says, "I'm already here." You are not alone on this journey. Millions of people are in the same cycle, the same trap. But you are now choosing a different path, your own path, and that path will set you free.